A figure you can pick up, even if you're not the mama. Here's your look at the brand new NECA Toys Dinosaurs Baby Sinclair. The Sinclairs are your average family with one big difference. They're talking dinosaurs living in the year 60,000,003 BC. Jim Henson's Creatures for Dinosaurs made this early 1990s show a comedy hit that's still certifiably fresh. Now you can bring home a little bit of the Jurassic with NECA's detailed action figures. Baby Sinclair is the youngest child of the Sinclair family and has enough attitude for the whole clan. His favorite pastime is walloping his father Earl on the head with a frying pan. He is the baby. Now, just before the baby gets unfortunately all prehistoric on his father Earl's head with a frying pan, let's grab the tape measure and see how tall the figure stands. You may have already noticed I've got the figure still displayed inside his high chair, as I'm sure that's the way that you're probably going to be having the figure displayed. If you include that, then baby Sinclair stands at about, or sits at about 5¼ inches in height, or the figure is going to be about 14 centimeters tall. If though you wanted just the baby alone, let's just see if we can measure off the baby. You're looking at baby Sinclair on its own, only being about 2¼ inches in height, or it's going to be about 6 centimeters tall. I was trying to think of a figure I could have compared along with baby Sinclair, having not yet picked up Earl Sinclair, so obviously I can't bring him in for comparisons. I wanted to at least pick a character that NECA has done that's a little outside the norm. So I want to bring in at least Elf. Gotta love Elf. Elf, you can see when you're comparing it against baby Sinclair, obviously still including the high chair, goes to about, I would say, maybe the eyebrows of Gordon Shumway here. Despite his very obviously small-sized stature, NECA still manages to pack baby Sinclair with really quite a lot of accessories. Most of those accessories, at least the things that he can hold, at least has dedicated hands for holding those accessories. The figure also, as well, comes included with a couple of baby toys, and he also comes included with an interchangeable head sculpt. Backtracking just a little bit first, of the smallest of those accessories, the figure comes included with a caveman cookie. Is it just me, or does the caveman cookie look a little bit like Lisa Simpson from The Simpsons? As already mentioned, a dedicated hand for holding that. He has a slightly smaller gripped hand. You can take then the caveman cookie. Careful not to drop it. And baby Sinclair, of course, can hold the cookie. Like I say, he seems to have all the necessary hands for holding basically everything. The figure also comes included with a baby bottle. The baby bottle looks to be molded here in white plastic. The end nipple, if you will, that has been painted nicely here in brown. And he also comes included with a hand to hold that. The slightly biggest, or probably the biggest gripping hand is best for holding the baby bottle. May not be the best for example, holding the baseball bat. The baseball bat, the spoon, and the frying pan are all things I'm sure you could whack on the head of Earl with. Eventually, when I do get myself an Earl, I'm looking forward to displaying baby Sinclair in mid-swing. Maybe Earl Sinclair sort of just cowering. I would be cowering as well if I'm getting anything close to this baby that he can start swinging at me. Like I said, he does come included with a baseball bat. Nicely molded and painted here. It looks to be like the handle is about the only thing that's been painted on the baseball bat. Figure as well comes included with a wooden spoon. Not one wooden spoon necessarily, because obviously this is based more for the figure, so it's been cast here in plastic instead. The plastic, though, is a little bit more fragile, so just be careful of this. And he also has a hand for holding the spoon. This one has, from first glance, it actually kind of looks like he's just more pointing at Earl than anything else. Maybe he's pointing and saying, not the mama. But you'll notice on the top there's a hole, and if you follow it to the bottom, there's a hole that goes all the way through. You can take your wooden spoon and feed it through, but just want to make sure that you line everything up, and you can also hold the spoon that way as well. What else does he come include with? He comes included with a frying pan. I want to make sure I cover off all the territory. A frying pan, again, good for whacking people on the heads. Poor Earl. Move that to the side. Going back, though, to the cookie, the figure also comes included with a cookie creature. The cookie creature, nicely painted with big, large bug eyes. Doesn't have, unfortunately, any articulation in it. I don't really think it necessarily needed for this size anyways. I don't think anybody would be saying, geez, I really wish the cookie creature could have come included with articulation in the head. Nobody's, I'm sure, going to be saying that. I'm sure probably tons of people are going to be saying that now in the comment section. By the way, all these accessories also can really sit easily on the top tray of the high chair. We're going to talk more about that in a moment. The figure also comes included with a bowl, a mixing bowl if you want. You could also, as well, I suppose, take the bowl and put it on top of the baby's head. Cover over top of the baby's eyes that way. He also comes included with the little TV remote. The remote looks to be, again, cast in silver plastic. The little knobs and dials have been painted nicely here, both in black and red down below here. Very small little details that can be all displayed with the figure. What else does he have? He has a slingshot. Nice little slingshot to be displayed. The back sling of the slingshot is a softer plastic, while the front actually prongs of it is a much harder plastic. And again, if you wanted to use, let's say, what's the best hand for holding this? Well, he probably would have, here we go. That's the other hand. The other hand right there, again, you can have him really, again, holding everything that he comes included. I'm kind of always disappointed, really, when a company releases a figure and then includes, say, accessories, and then you go to try to find a hand that goes with those, and you're like, well, I have the closest thing. You never really want the closest thing. NECA always seems to deliver the right hands, and I'm always happy for that. The figure also comes included with all these little toy animals. Dinosaurs, of course, which is somewhat ironic, because I guess it's not that far off, because obviously, like, as a baby, you probably would have had little tiny, well, maybe not you, but you probably, if you had a sister, for example, probably grew up playing with dolls, probably would have little miniature humans. I don't think it's not that much of a stretch to think that really a baby dinosaur would not just have little baby dinosaurs, because what other references do they really have? You get yourself like a little, I don't know if that would be a T-Rex, Stegosaurus. I'm probably thinking it's a little bit more like a T-Rex. You get yourself a Brontosaurus. Is it Altosaurus? Albertosaurus? I always grew up just with Brontosaurus. Comes included with that. It also comes included with, I'm trying to think of the name of this dinosaur. Oh, I'm drawing a bit of a blank. Somebody will, I'm sure, will tell me down below here. Painted nicely, though, for really what it is. It's on the tip of my tongue. Leave it with me. Leave it with me. And the last thing that the figure comes included with isn't necessarily, though, a dinosaur. It's Georgie the hippo. Again, I'm just kind of thinking of the referencing points for this. Everything in this show was all referenced to dinosaurs. I don't know really where the idea of a hippopotamus would come into play, because really a hippopotamus wouldn't have even existed back, 60 million and 3 BC. I always found it funny that they had to add a little 3 on the end of it. Herbie doesn't have, Georgie the hippo doesn't have any articulation. Kind of looked for a second like you would be able to rotate the head, but not the case at all. Georgie has no posability whatsoever. Those are all the accessories that come included. I know for all that, I mean, how much time have we just eaten up just by looking at the accessories? Like I said, for how small he really is, he comes with quite a lot. The last thing that Baby Sinclair also comes included with is the golden horn head. Reference, I think, only in one episode, Baby Sinclair, or maybe it was more than one episode, grew himself a little golden horn. I'm not going to really necessarily be displaying Baby Sinclair with the golden horn myself, but the fact that they actually include it, a nice touch on NECA's part. And then the last thing that the figure comes included with is basically all the setup of the high chair. Now, I've already taken the liberty of already adding Baby Sinclair inside the high chair. It does take a little bit of moving things around in order to accommodate it. Technically, you could also consider the back blanket as one other thing that's really an accessory. This is something that's separate inside the tray and basically just fits over top the back of the chair, just like that. The figure also comes with a tail. That's something that you're going to have to add as well. I would always recommend, really, when it comes to the tail for Baby Sinclair, put the tail in, obviously, once you put the baby in the chair, and then just put the tail on afterwards. I don't even really put it on that much either. I just put it on just enough that the ball joint hits it, and then it stays in place. Because if I ever want to take then Baby Sinclair out of the chair, I don't have to worry about, again, just trying to force this off the ball joint. Now, Baby actually wasn't part of the chair when you first get him out of the packaging. What you had to do, first remove the tail here. You have to get the baby inside the chair. Now, I don't know if you can actually gauge by the size of the baby. He's a big boy. He's not going to fit in the chair just simply by sliding him into the back. What you have to do is actually you have to take the tray off. A little uneasy about doing this, really. You have to detach it. There's a peg right here, and if you look to the other side, there's a peg right there. You have to detach these two first. Just kind of wiggle them back and forth till finally they're off the pegs. And then while you're sort of holding Baby Sinclair, now you just do this in the reverse steps, obviously, if you're putting him into the chair. Then you take the back of the chair or take the back of the tray and you slide it forward. And again, you want to just make sure, there we go, you just slide it forward. While you're sliding it forward, though, just be careful that you're not getting too close to those pegs. If you have it close to the pegs and you're, of course, sliding it forward, you're going to probably hit that peg and you'll break it right off. But you're just going to slide it right off like that. Then you're going to take Baby Sinclair and just remove it completely from the chair. And then when you put it back, it's just a case of, like, these little grooves, for all intents and purposes, should actually fit inside of these crevices, these little pegs into these crevices. And then again, like the chair just fits in place. You kind of just peg it down the other side. But I honestly just think, I don't know if I really like the idea of having pegs like this of such a narrow variety. I just feel like that's something that could potentially break off the chair for the number of times that you're probably going to be removing baby. Now, you probably may not be removing him that often. I'm removing him at least from now so you guys can actually see what the baby looks like without his chair. Of course, the only other thing to do is put back on the tail. Just put the tail like that for right now. Yeah, nice looking baby Sinclair. I never really liked baby, honestly. Loved watching dinosaurs, but baby I always found for obvious reasons was the most annoying character in the show. Certainly does look nice as a plastic release. NECA's done, once again, a bang-up job on this. I'm definitely looking forward to getting Earl Sinclair. Earl is one of my favorite characters in the series. I always loved Earl's boss, too. I was trying to name the actor who was actually playing Earl's boss. I'll come back to it. Head sculpt-wise, really good on this one. The paint is really top-notch, too. I mean, the parts that you wouldn't expect necessarily need to be painted, they've gone in, for example, and painted around the chubby cheeks there in a slightly darker color. The eyes pop definitely on this figure. And again, I love the open mouth. You can actually even maybe see that there's tiny little teeth that they took the time to paint inside the mouth. Now, if you did want to change this out to the golden horn, we're just going to remove the head from the ball joint. I couldn't imagine how easy it was to remove the head until I actually did it. It just easily pops off, pops it back in, and then you've got, of course, the baby with the golden horn. Spots are nicely done here on the back of the figure's body. Again, I don't probably see myself ever really displaying the baby with the golden horn myself, but I love the idea that at least you get yourselves an interchangeable head sculpt. You've also got, of course, the brightly colored shirt that he has, nicely brightly done here in yellow. A little bit of a tummy sticking out and a very large diaper. Something tells me, without getting too close to this, that baby needs a change-in. I'm not changing. I'm not going anywhere near baby for, of course, the fear that he's going to start swinging a frying pan at me. He can't stand really on his own, just for the obvious reasons. He's only going to always be in a sitting pose like this. But still, yet, the baby still possesses some decent articulation. For the head, for example, it's going to be on a ball joint, so it does rotate back and forth. Periodically, though, you may find yourself, unless you put it all the way down there we go, the head does pop off from time to time. Head looks up, head looks down, and you can move it also back and forth. I, for a second, thought that there was a hinge there in the jaw, but clearly isn't the case. You can kind of see that it's a pretty fully solid mold. There's no real way that there's going to be articulation there for the jaw. But the head does rotate somewhat all the way around if you wanted to. The arms do as well, move forward and back. There's a hinge out as well, so you can bring those arms outward. There is a swivel here, not in the forearm necessarily, but there's a swivel here in the hand where you can rotate them all the way around, and there's a hinge back and forth. The upper torso is going to be on a ball joint. The lower legs, well, this section of the body isn't going to have any posability, but you can move at least the legs back and forth. You can also move where the knee would normally be, back and forth there as well. And the tiny little feet, look at these little piggies. Did they go to the market? I don't know, would they have had piggies? I don't think they had piggies in the series. But there's also, of course, hingeability in the ankle. You can move it back and forth this way, squeezing those little chubby little sausages. And again, you can move them back and forth this way as well. For me, at least, again, I'm going to pop the head off that has the golden horn. Just not my thing. And we'll get the regular defaulted head back in place. Now, again, if you guys wanted to put this guy back in his chair, I mean, you can't put him in this way. You're going to have to first take the tray off, which, again, will just require... I'm not going to do this too often. I think really after this review, this guy's going to be always permanently inside of his high chair. But we're just going to detach it from either side, and we're just going to slide it out like that. Take the baby. You could try to keep the tail in if you want to. It's just a case of kind of hooking it down like this, plunking the baby down in place. Or, again, if you wanted to, you can always add the tail after the fact. Take yourself, once again, the tray. Make sure I've got it facing the right way. Slide it all the way to the back. While you're doing it, kind of keep it lifted up so it's not going to clip those points in the process. Because I've done this a couple of times, and I found myself, as I was moving the tray inward, I found myself sort of starting to bend the peg. And I stopped. I said, oh, God, can't go any further with that. But just line everything up, push everything down in place. And now you got yourself the baby back in the chair. The only thing left to really do is take, of course, the little blanket, slide that onto the back. I thought for like, why would they have included the blanket as a separate piece? From what I remember, at least, I think most of the time in the series, he always had the blanket on the back of the chair. But again, they made that as a separate piece. So if you wanted to have baby Sinclair with the high chair without the blanket, easily just leave it off if you want to. Nice looking figure. Don't like baby Sinclair in the series. In fact, that was one of my least favorite characters in the series of dinosaurs. I'm loving the fact that we finally get ourselves dinosaur figures. I'm really excited, really stoked to get my hands on Earl Sinclair, my favorite character from the series. Here, wrapping up the review for baby Sinclair, I've got the figure displayed with a couple of things to keep himself occupied, even though I can't help but notice he's got himself a frying pan in one hand, so I'm going to tread cautiously and, of course, stay at a far enough distance. I've got the figure displayed at least with 2 of his toys and the TV remotes. That dinosaur, by the way, I was trying to think of was Ankylosaurus. I should have thought ankles. Not that I would be thinking, oh, ankles, Ankylosaurus. But he has an Ankylosaurus. He also has that green dinosaur. Nowhere to be found right now, at least just because there's not enough room on him. There's no place, of course, to have the figure displayed with Georgie the hippo. Georgie the hippo, I don't know really where his whereabouts are. If it's anything like the toys I have in my house, it's probably somewhere under the couch. I do like the way that they've actually got the figure displayed here inside the chair. Of course, for obvious reasons, there's no way to really have baby Sinclair. Well, he could sit on his own. The kids don't really like to be left unattended. It's probably not also a good idea to leave anything, especially like a baby dinosaur, unattended. But he doesn't obviously have the means to stand on his own. He's always going to be in a seated position with a very large, full dinosaur diaper, from what I can see at least. Really like the look of this one. And out of nowhere, too, when they first announced that they were doing dinosaur figures, I sort of thought, wait, dinosaur figures? That came out left field. But always leave it up to NECA Toys, like they did with Elf from before. Always surprise us collectors of their toys by introducing lines that we already knew we are going to be getting eventually, but then every once in a while, those obscure licenses like dinosaurs. Have you collected Baby Sinclair? Let me know down below in the comments section what you guys think of the line, and did you also grow up watching dinosaurs? I think it's one series that I watched the entire series of, even the very depressing last episode. Has anyone ever seen the last episode of Dinosaurs? Talk about depressing. Anyways, though, if you guys are interested, this one is available as of right now in retail stores and online. If you guys are interested to get this one for yourself. Also, hey, if you guys enjoyed this video, I want to hit it with a like. If you guys are loving the content you guys are seeing and love the fact that we're doing some more NECA reviews, I can tell you we are going to be looking at some more. So I have a pile of stuff. You don't know what that pile of stuff is, but just know, I got some NECA reviews coming your way. If in the meantime, though, you've already hit that subscribe button down below. Let's assume you have, and turned on the bell notification, and you need a little more of a fix for NECA. Popping up also at the very end of this video will be a playlist of everything I've ever covered from NECA, all the way dating back to 2009 when this channel first started. Can you believe that? Coming up to 15 years. At the time of even posting this video, I think my anniversary for this channel is probably, in February. So February will mark, or was it March? I think it was February. February was marking then my anniversary here on this channel. And coming up in 2024, it will be 15 years that I've been doing this. Can you believe that? With many more videos to come. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.